Hello and welcome to another Thoughts Per Episode Classic Doctor Who edition. It has been a little while since we last did one of these. I apologise and will explain later, but first of all, I'll explain later. Where have we heard that before? First of all, what you came here to hear about, Galaxy 4, is the serial which we are talking about today. It was originally a bunch of missing episodes, but it was eventually animated, this time in full colour, and is now available to watch in animation. The TARDIS materialises on a planet which they will later learn is doomed, has only a small amount of time remaining before it goes explosive. I was going to say something very scientific sounding, but then I realised I didn't know the words. They meet these weird little machine things called, well, Vicky calls them Chumbleys, which I think is very endearing, and it's the only name they're ever referred to over the course of the entire show. And what I think is interesting here is that they are designed to look a little bit like Daleks, and this factors into the whole thing. So basically we've got two factions. The people who made the Chumbleys are called the Rills, and they are initially posited as the bad guys. The Chumbleys are seen as like these extremely dangerous machines, this massive threat, and to be honest, it's never really explained why at the start of this episode they do shoot at the TARDIS a bunch. However, our crew go on the run and they soon meet the Dravin, which are the very human-looking people. One of them is a lady who seems like an actual proper person. The other, I'd say 4 or 5, are pretty much androids, but I don't know if they're like biological androids or actually like machines or whatever. I feel like they're probably like bioengineered soldiers is the kind of vibe I got from them. They tell the TARDIS crew that, hey, look, the Rills, this planet's going to explode and the Rills shot us down and they're evil and they're trying to escape and we can't escape. We've got no means of escape and we're doomed and we have to sort this out or whatever. If it sounds like I'm skipping over parts and being vague, it's because I may have watched the first 2 episodes of this serial like, I don't know, maybe a month ago. But anyway, as events transpire, it turns out the Dravins hate the Rills because of how the Rills look. The Rills are not humanoid in appearance. They're these kind of like monstrous looking creatures who require like ammonium gas as a kind of habitat to live in. And what I love about this story is it's very much like a things aren't what they seem and don't judge by appearance kind of a story. It's done quite well, actually. Over the course of the story, eventually the truth is revealed and the Rills, despite coming under suspicion, like even after the Doctor and Vicky ally themselves with the Rills, Stephen meets them later on and is still suspicious of them. So they're never presented as like outright obvious allies till the very end, but like they very much like the Doctor and his kind of ethics and his motivations and stuff, and they very much agree with him. And basically this story is just, could you jumpstart us? We got to get off this planet before it explodes, but there's this other faction who hates our guts and is doing everything in their power to kill us and steal our spaceship. And of course, this is all told over the course of 4 episodes with plot twists like, wait, the Dravin aren't lovely? The lady called Marga is actually kind of horrible. Like, it's revealed that she kills her soldiers for, you know, messing up. They try to suffocate Stephen in an airlock at the end of episode 3, which is just downright horrifying. They're not nice. They're just not very nice. And meanwhile, this more monstrous looking, like, traditionally probably evil in design species are the ones who are like, oh, you need to get off this planet too? We should help each other. We're not leaving until you leave. Like, they're very, like, generous. Like, they send some Chumbleys over with the Doctor and Vicky at one point to try and save Stephen from the Dravins, despite the fact that it would be in their best interest to not even relay the information that they learn about Stephen being in trouble, because then they would be able to fuel up quicker. So yeah, ostensibly, this is a good story, right? This is some good sci-fi. Why did it take me so long to watch this? Well, because actually, it kind of bored the pants off me. I didn't want to lead with this because, you know, there's more to this episode than just, you know, my opinion on it. I wanted to kind of give an overview, I wanted to kind of give an overview of the serial and the events in it and what it does well and what it does badly before I arrive at the very realistic revelation that Oh my god, I was so bored. I don't know why, actually, because looking at the story as a whole, it was decent. But when I saw that it was called Galaxy 4, so it was going to be one of those kind of like more sci-fi focused episodes where you're exploring a planet, a doomed planet no less, that should be pretty fun, right? And B, it's animated and in colour, so I don't have to watch really grainy black and white footage. I thought, this is one that I'm going to be looking forward to. But ultimately, no. I found it, at least the first 2 episodes, I found really slow and really boring. And if you're wondering why there hasn't been any thoughts per episodes on classic Doctor Who for a while, it is because I have hit this wall of this particular story. And this will probably happen again in the future and has happened in the past. But there are some people who subscribe to this channel for Doctor Who related content, and I have not put anything like that out for a while. And I thought, you know what? I should probably break through this barrier so that we can continue onwards. So I put the subtitles on and watched the last 2 episodes on 1.5 times speed, and honestly, I think that helped a lot. Like, I don't know if it's just because the last 2 episodes were a little bit more action focused, because like more of the plot lines were coming together, because sometimes I'm sat there going, yes, I get it, the Rills are probably good, the Draven are probably bad, you don't need to beat this over my head until I figure it out, I'm already there. But also just the pacing of classic Doctor Who in general, because there's a lot more just like focus on characters walking around, exploring the environment, thinking, and not really presenting anything, not really doing anything. And obviously by today's standards, pacing in shows is a little bit more fast paced, so actually speeding it up by 1.5 times did help out on that regard. I'm not going to do it for future episodes unless I really hit a wall again like this one, but again, like, I had the subtitles on so I didn't really miss any information, and I don't think I really had a lesser viewing experience for it. The other conclusion I've arrived to is that while it's nice to have colour animation to kind of like reconstruct these old episodes that we only have the audio for, I do think that the simplicity of this animation might have also lended itself to my boredom. There's a lot to be said for the nuance of character movement, like, in live action footage that doesn't get translated to animation. And while they do I'm saying they do a good job, or evidently they don't if I was this bored, but they do make an effort to like have these little like, they're not just standing there and talking. It's not like an episode of Dragon Ball Z that was animated for 10 quid, They do shift around, they do kind of gesticulate, that's a good word, isn't it? But ultimately it was so simplistic that I think I missed the live action version. Even if it was grainy and black and white, there was just a lot more to take in and look at. Even if this colour animation probably did allow for more shots that we wouldn't get in the actual original version, like the big shot of like not the Draven spaceship, the real spaceship. Before we end this relatively short episode, I will take a look at my notes and see if anything I haven't talked about jumps out at me. I do like how in episode 2 Stephen tries to incite a rebellion amongst the Draven soldiers, and you can see some of them kind of like almost start to come around to his way of thinking, which shows that they do have some limited free will. And I also remember later on Marga, oh, that's an unfortunate name these days, isn't it? It's actually quite an appropriate name for her. She is decrying the fact that they said that she needed soldiers when she wanted to explore space with thinkers, and therefore she is the only person capable of coming up with plans. I find it interesting that this very militaristic and hateful character wishes she had less soldiers and more thinkers, but there we go. I guess it's a good way of indicating the society she comes from and how it probably shaped who she is as a character. At one point, Vicky figures out that if they stand directly behind the Chumbleys, they won't know that they're there, and they use this logic to infiltrate the real spaceship even when they think the Chumbleys are these evil death machines. I wonder if the same would work with Daleks. Oh, I liked the Rill's technology that they used after they kind of like stole Vicky's voice and then modulated it. I couldn't tell if it was William Hartnell's voice or just a guy that sounded a bit like him, but it sounded like they might have been using the Doctor's voice to talk to Vicky in English. And again, I really did like the way the Rills were portrayed as being like, oh no, you don't need to see what we truly look like because they've clearly been burned in the past by the Draven seeing what they truly look like and trying to kill them for it. At one point, the Doctor thinks that Vicky has been captured by the evil Rills who are going to kill her, and therefore tries to tinker with their atmosphere to try and kill them first, which is a little bit dark for the Doctor, but these were his younger days, I guess. But during this, he starts coughing and he brings out a handkerchief and coughs into it, and I just thought to myself, like, is this something that's meant to be part of the first Doctor's character, or is this just because William Hartnell's health was at that point, at that time? It could be both. They could have just like retroactively used it, because I thought In terms of the animation, they could have edited that out and not animated that, but then maybe because they wanted to keep it in line with the way the First Doctor was portrayed by William Hartnell between episodes other than this one, maybe that's why they kept it in. But maybe it's an actual trait of the First Doctor's, like, if I know my lore right, the First Doctor regenerates because of old age. Maybe they're trying to kind of, like, show that. Anyway, at the very end, when we see the Rill escape and then the Jarvins get more and more panicked, you can see Marga's true colours show as she's like pushing her soldiers out of her way, and even when the TARDIS dematerializes, I said that weirdly, even when the TARDIS dematerializes, you know, one of the soldiers kind of clutches her shoulder in fear and she elbows the soldier in the chest, who then falls into the lava. So Marga's death is very much one of those, like, as the viewer, you're supposed to feel like, oh yes, you deserved that kind of thing. And I won't lie, I did also kind of think that. But I also thought, like, you know, modern Doctor Who, I know she was chasing them with guns and shooting at them, but still, I feel like maybe the Doctor might have, like, talked her down and been like, look, come with me, and then, you know, I'm not going to let you die. But then also the 11th Doctor did some things in Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. So what do I know about the Doctor's fluctuating morals? Okay, I'm not going to draw this out. Clearly this was not my favourite episode of classic Doctor Who, but we do have some adventures ahead of us, and we are getting towards the end of the first one. You know, William Hartnell is the OG, you gotta respect him, but I am excited for a change-up. I know the second Doctor is where a bunch of the Time Lord lore kicks off, which I'm really excited to see, but we've got some adventures ahead of us first. I think we're still fairly early in Season 3. Why am I even talking like this? Now, unfortunately, it does look like we've got some missing episodes ahead of us. There is a serial called Mission to the Unknown, which does not appear on BBC iPlayer. There is then a serial called The Mythmakers, which also doesn't appear on BBC iPlayer. Then there's something called The Daleks' Master Plan, which has so many episodes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 episodes. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but BBC iPlayer only has 3 of those, so we're going to have to give that one a miss as well. Next up is The Massacre, which is also missing. Then there's The Ark, which is 4 parts, which all appear to be on BBC iPlayer. So we will reconvene at The Ark. Oh my god, that I have never had a gap of that many missing episodes. Maybe I'll do some kind of interim episode where I go through the synopses of these episodes and learn about them, because that is quite a lot of content to be missing. I know obviously there exists like these weird slideshow versions of the episodes, but I'm going to be real with you. If colour animation did this much damage to my enjoyment of the show, I don't know if I'm going to get much enjoyment from those. But let me know in the comments what you would like me to do. I'm very averse to those weird slideshow versions, but, you know, just keep that in mind. And then we'll meet back here for more classic Doctor Who shenanigans. I will see you then, hopefully.